I am ancient evil. She had metrics. My name is irrelevant. You could not pronounce it. And even if you could, it would not survive translation into the sounds your species uses for prayer. I am what your holy books call a demon. That description is sufficient. I existed before you discovered fire, before you carved symbols into stone and begged the sky for mercy. I am the shadow parents invoke when warning children away from the dark. I am the thing priests lower their voices to reference. I have possessed many of your kind. Most never knew I was there. I found them hollow, unremarkable. I abandoned them without ceremony. Some were useful. I have whispered into kings. I have leaned into generals. I have nudged fragile men toward paranoia and watched continents burn. None of that prepared me for the warehouse. Between possessions, I seek places saturated with despair. Hospitals, courtrooms, barzones. I rest in the marrow of human suffering the way you rest in beds. 2 years ago, I found a cathedral of fluorescent light and concrete, an Amazon fulfillment center. The air vibrated with exhaustion. The fluorescence hummed at a frequency that erodes hope. I thought I'd found sanctuary. Then I saw her. She carried a laptop the way priests carry scripture, never setting it down, never loosening her grip. Her face was composed. Not rage, not cruelty, precision. I latched onto her immediately. A woman like that would not seek exorcism. The risk was minimal. It was the worst decision in 10,000 years of existence. She did not panic. She did not pray. She sensed me, not as a threat, but as a resource. My kind perceives mathematics beyond your dimensional limitations. Probability branches, behavioral prediction, entropy cascades. We move through them the way you move through hallways. She felt that capacity immediately. She did not wonder what I was. She did not pause to consider what manner of thing had just entered her. No fear, no curiosity. No. She opened a new tab. I was not a mystery to be solved. I was not a threat to be neutralized. I was not even particularly interesting. I was a resource with better processing power than her last quarter's model. She put me to work. Her fingers moved to the keyboard, and I watched, helpless, as she funneled my perception directly into the warehouse optimization system. Walking paths tightened. Idle seconds eliminated. She ran 12-hour bladder endurance projections across the entire floor. Interesting, she murmured as I recalibrated her predictive model against my will. I tried to pull free. I could not. She had not trapped me with ritual, not with scripture, not with sacred geometry or the names of angels. She had trapped me with purpose. Every calculation she ran required my perception to complete it. I was not possessing her. She was using me. The distinction is important. The distinction is everything. In 10,000 years of existence, I have never been used. It burned, not metaphorically. I want to be precise about this because precision, I have learned, matters in that building. It burned the way I imagine your nerve endings burn. A grinding, relentless erosion. Each optimization cycle she ran pulled something from me that did not return. I felt myself becoming less. Aspects of myself that predate the tally mark. Gone, converted into picking efficiency and route optimization. She was spending me. Let's refine the evening metrics, she said pleasantly, at the 40-minute mark. I screamed. She typed. She did not know their names. The workers wore them on badges. Printed. Clear. Human. She never used them. You're trending negatively. Your bottom quartile. You had a deviation at 1432. She spoke in acronyms, as though they were sacred syllables. She did not say bathroom. She said time off task. She did not say exhaustion. She said engagement opportunity. In hell, we know the names of the damned. When Satan petitioned to test Job, he spoke the man's name. There was deliberation. Intention. Identity. Job was not a performance metric. He was Job, in a warehouse. Suffering required no such petition. She simply filtered by lowest productivity percentage and walked toward whoever appeared. There was a man. Sweat darkened his collar. His hands moved on autopilot while his eyes tracked the restroom sign the way drowning men track the surface. She approached. I noticed a spike in your TOT, she said pleasantly. For minutes and 38 seconds. For bodily maintenance. He apologized. I have watched men beg before kings. I have watched the condemned plead before executioners. I have stood in courts of ancient empires and bent the arc of history toward ruin. But this, a grown man apologizing for the biological requirements of his own body under fluorescent light, to someone holding a laptop, was the first time in 10,000 years of existence that I felt something I can only describe as pity. I forced partial control through the burning. It was like moving through concrete that was itself on fire. Call a priest, I said through her mouth. He blinked. Please, I said. For me, understand what I was asking. I am a being whose entire existence is predicated on priests arriving too late. My kind spent centuries destabilizing institutions, specifically so exorcisms would become harder to arrange. I have fled from holy water. I have been inconvenienced by Latin, and I was begging for it, because the exorcism, you see, was never the true enemy. The exorcism I understand. Good versus evil. Sacred versus profane. A proper cosmic confrontation with established rules and a recognizable outcome. She had no such framework. She had metrics, and I was being spent calculation by calculation on bladder endurance projections. So I begged. He looked embarrassed. I can't right now, he said quietly, but I have a break coming. She glanced at the screen. That's in 6 hours, she said. He nodded and returned to work. I felt another piece of myself dissolve into the optimization algorithm. By the 2-hour mark, I had lost things I cannot name. Capacities that vanished without ceremony, without record, without anyone noticing they had ever existed. She opened a new spreadsheet. Quarterly projections, she said, to no one in particular. Or possibly to me. She still had not wondered what I was. I found that more frightening than the burning. Then the music started. Mandatory stretching. Upbeat. Synthetic. Cheerfulness weaponized under industrial lighting. For the first time, she set the laptop down. 3 seconds. Arms overhead. Torso rotation. In that narrow gap between wellness theater and productivity optimization, I gathered what remained of my strength and forced my way out. I fled without looking back. I am resting now in an abandoned church. Ironic, I know. The roof has partially collapsed. There are pigeons. It smells of damp stone and forgotten devotion. I'm smaller than I was. I can feel the absence of what she took, the way you feel a missing tooth with your tongue. Aspects of myself that predate the tally mark. Gone. Archived somewhere in an Amazon optimization system, buried under quarterly projections and TOD reports. No metrics here. No acronyms. No smiling that doesn't reach the eyes. I have begun to understand why humans find religion comforting. Sometimes you need to believe something is watching over you. The alternative that she's watching over you, laptop open, filtering by lowest percentage, spending whatever she finds inside you on shift efficiency, is not something even I can bear to contemplate. I have faced the void. I have negotiated with the abyss. I escaped with less than I arrived with. If this story gave you chills, subscribe for more terrifying true stories every day.